They're signed off sick. Can you meet them online? Well, to help answer that question from a legal perspective, I've got Clare Fowler from Yes Law. Clare, what do you say?
Hi, Sonia. Well, I think this very much depends on the nature of the illness that the person is suffering from. You need to be mindful of your absence management process and you need to follow it as far as possible. But sometimes you might be faced with a colleague who says they're too unwell to meet or they're just not answering your communications at all. And in those circumstances, you can propose some sort of perhaps slight alterations to the normal way that you'd carry out the process. And meeting online can be one of those. So yes, it's definitely something that you can propose, particularly if they're suffering from a sort of physical ailment that means it's difficult for them to get into school or to another neutral venue. It might be, a very good solution.
Nice. I guess in some ways this ties into having so many ways of meeting online. Do I phone them or do I not? Are there any kind of other parameters you give for making that decision? Because obviously we don't want to be hassling people or disturbing them when they're sick, but equally sometimes there is a need to be in touch. So do you have any kind of rules of thumb that can help us out with these situations?
I mean, I think, again, if somebody's off perhaps with work-related stress, it might not be appropriate to engage with them at all, at least for a period of time. Obviously, there will come a time where you've got to stay in touch. And there are ways of doing it in a sort of less formal way. So perhaps you can maintain contact with them through a colleague who they get on well with. It's not going to be threatening, and it's just more of a how are you doing kind of contact to start with. But as an employer, you are entitled to follow your policy. So you could, for example, ask the colleague who's off sick to nominate a representative that you can speak to, perhaps a family member, or if they're a member of a trade union, maybe their union rep. You could also suggest carrying out the process that you need to do in writing. So rather than them having to be face to face, even online, they might find that really difficult, or they might want more time to think about their responses to questions. So if you have questions that you need to ask as part of an absence management process, you could email those in advance, and you could accept a written response from them. So there are all sorts of adjustments that you can make to the process. I do think it is important to try and keep in touch, really, regardless of what's going on. It's just sometimes you might have to be a bit more creative to find an appropriate way of doing that. And again, a lot of this is about creating a culture within the school environment that people are open to communication, and that they're not panicking or worrying that they're under threat in some way. So open communication is, as ever, really important.
It really is, isn't it? Communicate, ask questions, be curious about it, understand what's going on.
Yeah, exactly. All of those chestnuts.
Those chestnuts. Thank you so much, Clare. And can you just share how Yes Law, the wonderful, wonderful charity that Yes Law, can support school leaders and employees?
Yeah, so at Yes, we advocate an approach of resolving disputes without litigation. So we're always encouraging people to communicate and, if necessary, sort of mediate, but generally just to try and find constructive solutions. So if you have if you have a problem or a question or a situation that you just want to talk through, you can always get in touch with us. And similarly, if you have an employee who perhaps isn't a member of a trade union or you feel would benefit from independent advice, you can always, drop our name into the conversation, and we'd be happy to speak to them, and we'd provide a free initial appointment where we can just talk through what's going on and offer some suggestions and hopefully a constructive approach.
Oh, I'm such a big fan of Yes Law. I think your work is incredible, and I think life really is too short to litigate, as is your motto. So yeah, just let you know, Yes is there. We'll pop the link in the details below, should that be of use to you. And remember, you can get more of these top tips by checking out other videos on our channel, and make sure you subscribe so you keep up to date and we can help you navigate this challenging but important landscape well. Thank you, Clare.
Thanks.